said that he just manipulates all of us at the table.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Without speaking.
I mean,
Yeah.
oh, I have to do it with speaking.
No, he just sits there and just sets things in motion. Apparently he's been the mastermind behind the whole group.
Yeah.
That wow, that explains a lot.
He was reverse psychologying me into losing my train of thought earlier by not speaking.
That's why you change where you sit every time, so that you're sitting around someone new, so it changes the manipulation.
Am I
fucking
really
bastard.
that quiet? I feel like everyone always just like it's just the quietness, just like the me pausing. I like the idea of me pausing to confuse you, because are you just used to people talking so much?
I like hearing myself talk.
Oh, okay.
So usually I'm around my own mouth, or around other people who like to talk. I don't think you're quiet. I think it's a combination of just knowing when you want to say something and when you don't. I also think you use silence for effect. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't know when to
He's
shut the
doing
fuck
it
up.
right
He's
now.
doing it right now.
See, that's what I'm saying. Just because
On an
I'm quiet,
audio form, on
'Cause
an
I'm-
audio medium.
Yeah,
Because I'm quiet,
I
I
just used a
manipulate.
bunch of faces and no sound.
I don't have faces. I don't have faces, but I want to have them.
Yeah. What?
Not usually.
So so I'm curious as to how you're manipulating all of our Star Trek characters. Like, what is something you've done that I just completely missed?
I appeal to authority a lot to have you make the answers, even though I don't
Holy
make the
fuck.
answers.
Holy
So
fuck!
I have to bring up things according to giving you the means to find the answers.
You really, seriously, you fucking do that?
Well, I would
like intentionally.
Well,
you fucking-
because I know you as the character in the game, you as a Klingon and the commander of me. I have to bring it to you in a military context that you have to be making the answers.
I don't even think I think that much about my own character.
Because you're in appeals of authority. You've shown that you really care about authority in the game, because you'll always say that you'll fire people. Everyone has to be. You have to look like you're above everybody because of the leadership. Because when I was the captain for 10 minutes, everyone thought it was weird that I was asking different characters what they thought about the situation.
Yeah.
They were wondering how I lead differently, and they thought that was weird.
It's hilarious because that's
players in the
exactly what a
game-
captain should be doing.
right?
Yeah, if the players in the game were going, Matt, what are you doing? You're not acting like captain. Or no, Casey was confused because he's like, he had a character that said, "What am I the captain?"
Yeah.
That was Dr. Softer.
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
scene, and I was like, no, this is my style.
That's I.
So I
that's
know your style of
fascinating.
leadership in the game, and I have to appeal to your authority.
What about
in game?
What about the other characters?
I love really quick. I love that I call Brap like a fucking witch doctor and shit all the time. Like I'm like I don't want him in my brain. I'm not gonna do that stuff. Like
He's
I'm
been there
fully
the
like
whole
he's
time.
manipulating all of us, and like still don't recognize that. Like you know what I mean?
I'm not, though.
Well, but what I'm saying is like just the bare fact that you as the player, even through the character, know how to appeal to my character based on how he talks at the position he's in.
Yeah, you
It's
really,
fucking
your
wild
character
to
cares
me.
about his authority,
Yeah,
so I use that.
That's cool. But
I'm
what
not
I'm saying,
trying to manipulate.
What I'm saying is that like, you know, Bosch is like, you know, I've said on occasion like, oh yeah, he's totally fucking around with our brains, but then totally doesn't realize how you're fucking around with his brain. Like he'll say it, but then there's like nothing behind his words. He still has no
social.
idea. He doesn't get it. He has no idea.
It's a social power. Just feel like you're everyone's buddy and you're good with it.
I mean, I did that in a game by looking. I was playing a devil, and we just made it to a place where they had devils, but I knew they were hidden somewhere, and I was like, I need to join their society somehow. So I thought, how am I going to do that? We're only going to be in the city for a little bit of time. Wait a minute. There's a
There's the fuck is that?
Water, don't worry. We're next to planet.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? There's only coming up my speakers like Casey just shit himself. We just picked it up in stereo.
Yep. I'm just
On the
pissing
ground.
right now as I tell
On
the
the
story.
concrete floor. He thought we wouldn't notice.
Oh no, the
If it wasn't the
podcast.
sound, it would have been the smell. Anyway,
yep.
Sorry, devils.
I know what he's
so,
talking about, yeah.
So yeah, I
have no
realized.
idea.
Well,
I don't remember.
You weren't there yet.
I'm like, One of the characters in our party is chaotic good,
yeah.
and I thought
Very much chaotic
I
good.
I thought about the type of person that was playing the character. And I'm like, hey, you know, you're a chaotic good character. They're like, yeah, I am. I'm like, well, they're doing a lot of slavery here in this
This whole city slavery.
in the whole city because it was run by Duragar, the Underdark dwarves.
Duergar sucked.
Yeah, it was terrifying. So I'm like, you know what the title? Because each of the alignments used to have titles. You know what the title for a chaotic good hero was? And he's like,
Liberator.
what is it? And I said, it's the Liberator. And that's all I had to say. And he's like, that's it. I'm going to free all of them. And
That
immediately,
kicks ass.
immediately as character, I went, all right, and I'm going to rat you out to the police. And that's exactly what I did. I had him foment a rebellion so that I could tee it off to the city guard well enough so that they could put it down so that I would then meet the higher up court of the devils.
So he was over here singing Union songs, and then you're the Pinkertons rolling up the fucking bust his kneecaps. Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible.
That's fucking funny.
yeah.
That's
That was one of my
amazing.
favorite evil characters to play.
That's good.
devil
That's
was-
insidious.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
It was so good that I had to retire him like after that session
Yeah,
because
'cause-
things went
yeah.
so well. I was like, why would he
Yeah.
leave? He doesn't need to adventure anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
You immediately changed characters. Yep.
What's the most evil thing you've done then in character? What's your evil character?
Evil characters? I can't think. I don't make many evil characters.
Me neither. Like, I make very morally gray characters. I make assholes, but not evil
I like
characters.
making evil characters because a good challenge making evil character is trying to outthink the logic for why they would be working with other good characters.
Right.
If you don't have an answer for that, you have no right to play a character who is evil in
Right.
any game unless you can answer why your evil character makes sense in context for being with these other characters going on a mission.
Right.
Which is for that. So for that devil character, I chose to play a devil specifically because the entire campaign was killing demons. And
Easy.
for D&D, devil and demon are separated well enough, but I was able to play something that emulated all the themes of the game while in story and in lore being bent against it. So it makes sense that there's this devil that goes, oh yeah, I'll join this paladin and these other people because you're hunting demons. That's all I care about.
That's so
I
fascinating.
am
because
evil, but it's only
I-
projected towards this direction.
I usually just, as a rule, hate alignment. I usually just ignore it because it just pigeonholes someone. They think, oh, they're good. That means, oh, I just do these things. I'm evil. I do these things. But if you don't have alignment and you're confronted with these situations, you have to actually think for your fucking self.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't be. Whenever I'm sure you've had the player that like they can't decide what to do, so they roll off on it or flip a coin
Yep,
about it. And it's
yep.
just like, fuck you. Think critically about it. You know what I mean? Like,
I
what
think
would you
what
actually?
Casey's saying,
So
it's-
it's a crutch like a coin is. But what I was going to say is, except in the case you just described, which is really thoughtful and really fascinating, and it's just another many examples of you doing something with D&D, like
I
modern
think
D&D
if
that I
you
don't think possible.
if you
know,
honor alignment to its lore base with D&D,
like it's
there's a-
cosmic.
there is
base,
a lot
yeah.
of really good storytelling and interesting stuff that you can pull from there.
I see that. What were you going to say?
Oh, just that even if he didn't consider his character evil, it's still the challenge of having an evil intention while with people with the opposite intention or different.
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
I've played
That is a
I've
good
played
point.
another
Yeah.
evil character in games for a long time. One of my favorites. He would always disguise himself every single adventure. So I played him face value for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a simple barber, who then happened to be a lot worse with what he was skilled at.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is, because we'd play games and it would be a different DM every so often and different characters. So we'd constantly making new characters. So what I would do is I'd pretend that I made a brand new character. And I'd show up with a name and a backstory and everything. And I would have it all in a folder. And in that folder would just be the exact same spy character sheet that I've been playing for several series in a row. I would just introduce them. And then the fun would be how I can do my mechanics and interact with the story up to at what point will they be keyed off by something that I've done that they can go, oh, wait a minute, you're actually that disguise guy. And then I would reveal myself.
So
as the
you were
disguise guy.
literally taking the same character from table to table, trying to not seem like you were playing the same
Yes.
character. God, that's fucking whimsical. God,
And
that's
the thing
fucking
is,
cool. Dude.
I knew eventually how it came to be built. Everyone hated him because everyone knew to expect it him.
That's
Yeah.
that.
So what I would do is I would make it so as we went through editions in different, from 4th edition to back to 3.5 to Pathfinder to 5th,
the long way around.
I'd completely change his class. I'd completely change how he works.
Yeah.
Except I would then not change anything about how he presents himself. So everyone would be like, oh, okay, it's that guy. We know what to expect from him. And then, for instance, there was a
Does
character.
spell, and you're like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
so I had a
Right.
character,
Spells.
like, in one round, he's taking out a rapier, fighting someone, then is able to cast a spell. The next round, he drops a bomb and is able to, like, dash away and open up locks.
The bomb was expected.
That's
That's his MO.
The bomb was
The
not
bomb.
expecting, because that's when everyone went, oh my god, is he an artificer, alchemist too somehow?
Oh,
I was
yeah.
not. I specifically spent money
You
on
just
a
bought
bomb.
a bomb.
I bought a
You
bomb.
can just buy bombs.
Yeah, that's what I did. I was like, if I buy a bomb, I can drop a bomb, and then they'll expect that I can
think
do bomb.
Make
But
'em?
the absolute best
didn't
advice
make 'em.
for playing evil characters in a
Smart
game
enough for that.
is to make them so helpful to the party. Because that's the last thing I did with that character.
Oh, that's the dark
That's what I'm saying.
temptation
That's the last-
angle. Yeah.
This character, when I ended up playing him at higher levels, he had the ability to, like, if someone if he gets hit, I would swap positions with another player and force
That's
them
what
to
I
take
know
the
him
damage
from.
or force them to take the
Me
save.
taking that damage.
But then what I would do
Oh, I
is
remember him well.
the next round, like, they're fighting the monster, and then I'd get into flanking bonus, and they'd be trying to fight it, and I say, well, you've got a +8 to your attack because I'm flanking with you. So then
damned
they're
if
like,
you do, damned if you don't.
Damn, they betrayed me, but it's too useful
I like
to have
that
around.
that theme drills down to even the mechanical level. That's pretty cool.
That's a way you should really play evil, is making it so conflicting to have your character be there mechanically.
Cursed item.
Yeah.
Yeah. Making a cursed item.
Not conflicting with the rest of the party, but conflicting in terms of how everyone feels about you. That you're obviously a bad person, but perhaps since you're entering into this microcosm of the story that you're in, then maybe there's a chance for the character to change. Maybe
it's
there'll
like
be
it's like
more ease.
Barbossa in Pirates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly like that. You best start believing in evil characters.
That's my
You're
favorite
one.
kind of play.
I mean, you said you probably made something that was the more evil type, though.
No.
You made an orc in my game with a split tongue and like tons of daggers, and he was like licking poison.
Yes, but he was a soft boy.
yeah, that is right. That was the twist.
Yeah, he was because I think of it like this, right? Is he's this dude who, since he was a kid, was raised by this assassin cult. It's like all he knows. Like, his nature is generally, he's a nice guy. He's a nice, like, relatively innocent guy. But all he knows as an occupation or even as a lifestyle is to fucking kill people. That's it. So it's like not even his fault. Then you have people like Dench, who Dench started arguably as a good character.
Oh yeah, very much
And
so.
just, kind of Breaking Bad style, it was revealed, no, the whole time he was not
just,
a good
He
character.
was just introduced to very pretty words and never bothered to look up any fucking definitions.
Yeah, he read The Fountainhead and was like, yeah, I want to do that. and then just went off.
Sure did.
He's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I've never really played a character that was straight up evil. Anytime I played a character who... I have had characters who have done very bad things or are very bad people, but it usually makes sense why. It's not just a random thing. It's like, okay, I understand how you got here. Still hate your fucking guts. Still think you're a piece of fucking shit. You still do terrible things, but I get it.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite place for morality to lie in games, is to be like, my character is diametrically opposed to yours, hates everything about you, but I still can't really say you're evil.
I remember
Because
about
you're
evil
evil to
character
me.
now.
Let's hear it.
Oh, you.
Oh, you had
I'm done.
several.
Go.
Yeah, the choking
Yeah.
tree.
The choking tree was
I'm
the
sorry,
most
is it
common.
like the fucking willow outside of the Harry Potter castle is a dude?
It was way worse than that.
How's that?
Everyone would get the good salt, and so I made a tree.
Oh,
that,
fuck.
yeah,
Yeah.
a tree with a garrote, and that was my only thing.
Yeah. So he would play
All
a
right.
tree.
You were a tree ant, I'm assuming, with a fucking girl.
No, he was a tree folk kind of race. So he was able to
tree
completely
ant, right?
disguise himself as a tree.
Uh-huh.
And then he'd wait for people to come up to him and like be around him. And then he would pull a garrote out from his leaves
Yeah.
and strangle them and like hang their bodies on his
Well,
branches.
that's fucking menacing.
Yeah.
What the hell,
It was an
Matt?
evil campaign.
Later on,
That's evil.
Yeah,
That's pretty evil.
Like, yeah. I mean, okay. So Matt doesn't play evil characters all the time, but he always plays something fucking creepy. Okay, he's got a druid in one game. The druid is just your regular standard druid, except for the fact that this is one of the only major distinctive things about that druid.
Yeah.
Because it's just like a what is it? A Fomorian? Yeah, it's like a Fomorian druid. So it's like nature, fae, giant. Everything fits within character, except for the fact that every time we go to sleep, this character cannot sleep unless they polymorph into a spider, wild shape into a spider, sneak into someone else's room, and unwild shape and sleep in or under their bed.
Yeah.
Like a monster?
with
like,
them
like an
there.
under the bed monster?
Yes.
What the fuck? What is
It's
that?
never been explained because none of our characters know about it.
Now that's true evil. Because here's the thing: I think you play the most evil characters because I think it all comes
I
down
didn't
to
do anything wrong.
rationalization. No. I think it all comes down to rationalization. If you're just some tree dude who just no reason just murders people. That's evil. That's a fucking. It's like for what reason? It's because man, I'm so scarred by my past, or all of these are enemies.
No,
of,
it was
of
never any of that.
No, you just kill people.
Yeah,
that's evil.
It's always what Matt. It's like, why is this character doing it? And Matt's like, because that's what they do.
That's what they
That's
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the druid. Yeah, that would say the druid.
Fuck.
The druid just likes to sleep under people's bed.
That's intense
Yeah.
as hell.
It's hilarious.
What's another one? You got another one?
I know. Well, the tree specifically had a power where the longer you stare at someone, the more damage you do.
Oh yeah, so
What
that,
the
that was the
fuck?
great thing. Is the thing is that he would be out in the open and just constantly be getting dice, just stacking up, and just then finally get them.
Oh.
He also got max level and then had his leaves enchanted so that wherever his leaves would go, he had a scrying sensor. So he was Skynet spying over the land and able to
That
just
is-
murder people.
Pathfinder gets wild.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah, it does get fun.
When we got high
That's
level
what's fun
evil.
about
When we were high level
Yeah,
evil,
yeah.
I was just Skynet. I didn't have to be anywhere near.
Just
Yeah, his character wasn't even involved anymore, I don't think.
No, I was just ready. I could just show up and kill you any second.
Oh, he played an evil clown once.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Evil clown
wonderful.
class.
Oh, that's
I
wonderful.
don't even know what I did. It was like one session.
You think he he had a flower that squirted like acid on someone and
Yeah.
it
That's
melted.
that's extremely evil.
I stabbed some guy.
Oh, yeah, so he stabbed a bartender. So he had a character that was a bard, and we were playing in an early Ravenloft game, really proto Ravenloft. It was not the Ravenloft you know. It was more
Right.
like a Wild West kind of French punk kind of.
Hell yeah, dude.
Game.
Let's
It
go.
was Ravenloft though. Yeah.
It was Ravenloft, but because it was 4th edition, everything just it had to feel that way.
Right,
Because of all the
right.
powers, abilities, and stuff like that. But he played a bard that, of course, didn't want to do the actual storyline. Everyone else was like, let's focus on the story. And Matt's character is like, I want nothing to do with that. My character has no interest. They have their own goals and concerns. and so he went. Where's the nearest place that I can perform at? And I gave him a flyer, and it was supposed to be a promise. It was supposed to be a promise because I gave him a flyer early on in the session. Where it said, there is this traveling circus and they happen to be in the city over. And what he immediately did is go to the bartender and say, how far away is this city? And he's like, oh, you'll probably have to, get a coach or something all the way there. It's much too far to walk. And so Matt immediately decided, well, that is a breaking point for my character. Because he cannot walk that far. Thus, he can never
not always a good
he
play,
can
okay.
never satisfy his dreams. So this character will now turn to murder.
No, it was a good character.
He left, got a dagger, and then came in to the bartender and said, "Hey, I'd like a drink." And the bartender gave him a drink, and he's like, "Cool, okay, can I talk to you in that cupboard over there?" And
I think I remember this.
I did a roll
I
and
think
everything.
I walked in halfway through this game because there was a bunch of dead people.
No.
in the bar.
Long
No.
This is a long time. This is high school.
Are you
when we
sure?
played.
I
Yes.
remember either. You must have described
Because
this to me in vivid
let
detail
me describe
before.
what happened next.
Yeah.
So this is one of the first times I've interacted with Matt's level of roleplay that he does, and this is the early days.
Early.
So immediately I'm
Was
going.
that one of the first games you
I'm
played
going
with him?
Wow,
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck.
wow. I've never. This is so astonishing. He's just asking the innkeep to go talk to him personally in a room. That's so mind-boggling that yeah, sure, the innkeep will do it because he rolled. I think he had rolled a persuasion. I'm like, okay.
Sure.
So he walks in, and then I think you walked into the room and you started asking the barkeep more questions before you just decided, okay, and you stabbed him. Now, he stabbed, and he rolled a crit, but he had a dagger, and his character was built for shit. So he crit and dealt 1 damage. So he just stabbed the bartender in the eye. The bartender then starts screaming, and so what Matt does is have his character just kick him to death until he shuts up.
Right.
He then dresses in the bartender's bloody clothes,
Not always good.
bloody clothes, takes parts of the body, and goes out and starts attending the bar. At this point,
Everyone's clearly like, what the
The
fuck?
rest
Yeah,
of the player characters are getting back from actual plot stuff and enter into the bar, and they're like, huh, that's weird. Why is Matt's character running the bar? Also, he's covered in blood. People ask for a drink, and he's like, yeah.
Sex on the beach.
Someone gets sex on the beach. So
Everyone's getting sex on the beach.
yeah, then the guards show up because they're like, well, this is obviously a strange coincidence.
Something's wrong here.
They go up and they're like, have you seen the bartender today? And you're like, no. And they're like, why are you covered in blood? And I remember you saying exactly this is your response. Would you like a drink? And I said, wow, what a response. That's so obfuscating. Sure, yeah, they'll say they want a drink. So he says, yeah, I reach down and I give him a drink, and then there's an eyeball, a floating eyeball in it. From the guy I
put
killed.
an eyeball in.
And so then the guard's like, did you kill this man? Is this an eyeball? That just comes with the drink, sir.
No, it was balls because it was Sex on the Beach.
Oh, yeah, it was balls.
balls?
You put balls in it.
You're putting his
You put his balls. That's right.
in
Yeah,
his skin.
he was
And so the
You
guard's like,
cut open this
excuse
man's
me,
scrotum and fucking took
is
his
that
nuts.
a pair of balls in my drink? And he said, it comes with the drink.
Goes with the sex on the beach.
See, that's why it works because that's what happened.
Is that so?
That's what happened.
Am I to understand that this whole character and this whole session up until now was a build up to that punchline? Is that?
Yep.
That's just how the story went.
That's how the story goes. He puts some dude's
So
balls.
he got arrested and then put into an asylum because he was freaking insane.
Yeah.
And
He's insane.
See, this is what I mean by that is an evil character.
yeah.
That is because here's
I
the
can
thing.
make evil
Because
characters.
I think the morally gray characters are characters who do terrible things for good reasons. Like they rationalize things in a way that you understand. You went in, realized you had to go on a long hike, and so your response to having to go on a long hike was murdering someone in cold blood, impersonating them, serving their body parts to not only just people, like just customers like Sweeney Todd style, but to the cops.
Yeah.
With no regard for authority or the fact that they could, have the power to kill you.
to be fair,
Like,
he had the balls to do it.
he had the balls to do it.
I mean, the skeleton wasn't evil.
The skeleton was awesome.
I did
That was-
torture a character.
Now, I think
What's the skeleton?
that so the skeleton is evil, but not from a character perspective, but from a player perspective. Okay, because this is what happened. We had the DM, and they were starting an adventure, and they were telling us and stuff. And so we knew we'd have a moment where we'd introduce Matt's new character, who happened to be a living skeleton cleric.
Right. That's
now-
cool.
Yeah, it was supposed to be. It was like, oh, that's going to be a cool character. So we meet his character, and he is a skeleton that's just leaning up near a cave because they're like, oh, that makes sense for a cave. So we walk up and we're startled, we're surprised that it's a skeleton first, and he's like, "No, don't freak out. I'm just a gardener." So we find out everything that he does. Matt is not playing a cleric. He is playing someone who has cleric levels, but is actually just a gardener, and that's all they care about. And they're a skeleton.
Okay.
But the
That sounds
worst
like a Matt
part,
character.
the worst part about this, where it is player evil, not character evil, is Matt then said, "Hey, down in this cave, there's a whole bunch of scary treasure and stuff. But you guys could get it." And since we had no other character knowledge, we went, okay, let's go in the cave. So the DM is starting to have to make this cave, which is not part of the story. And as he's building the cave, our character's going deeper in it. Meanwhile, what Matt does is goes, well, my character would continue gardening. So he does create water and starts flooding the cave as we're going down it.
So you fucked everyone. You not only fucked,
Yes.
you not only fucked the players in character, you also fucked the GM because you made him generate a dungeon off the cuff
But
for
it was
nothing.
But it was
For nothing.
fun. It was
No, the
ridiculously
fish-
fun.
The fish, I generated a dungeon.
No, that was another one. But for the cave was
No,
just
I was just saying that I acted that like I was a skeleton that was part of the dungeon. It was a tour guide.
yeah. But instead
So
we
I
went
said,
into this whole thing.
Because of course a dungeon's gonna have an animated skeleton.
Right.
So I was like, "Hey, I am the animated skeleton of this dungeon. Come on in."
I'm the
And I'm like,
the
"Hey,
iconic
I have
animated
to-"
style.
And I said, "I gotta water this
skeleton.
dungeon," and it did decanter of endless water at all times.
Yeah, except there was no dungeon to go to. It was important that there was a dungeon lore-wise to introduce you, but it was not important play-wise for us to do it.
I am surprised yet not surprised at all that Matt is able to pull off true evil.
Yeah, so
There's
he the
unfeeling
thing
cosmic
is,
evil.
he started filling it up and to the point where we're drowning, and we got near the back, and the DM like he put a magic item in there or something to satisfy us.
Right.
But then there's also explosive gas, and because of the type of characters or whatever, there's a lot of fire, so it started exploding. So not only is the only reason that we almost died because of Matt, but also the only reason we survived is because there was enough goddamn water down there to give suppression from
Oh, so
the
you
fire.
canceled it out.
It canceled out.
Oh, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So he's
Vindu's
absolved then.
pretty
No big
evil.
deal. No big deal.
Yeah,
I have a
Vindu
lot of evil
was.
characters. Vindu is probably the most evil.
Vindu is planned
He
evil,
was
but no
very
one ever
specific
saw
evil.
it.
You do have a lot of very
Vindu was
depraved
specifically
characters.
built for evil, but
Yeah.
he never considered himself evil. He would never would.
Yeah.
And that was the point.
Because I remember when you came to me with the character idea, and
Philosophically,
you're like,
like-
I want to play a character who's fully self-centered and evil, but no one's ever going to know that because how he manipulates
It wasn't
everyone
that he's
else
self-centered.
around him.
It was that no, he has people that are dying, and he does not care about anything in the
Anyone
middle.
else except for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fuck.
it's called the Vecna parts.
What was the fish one?
What?
What was the fish one? Where you did
I don't
create an
remember who I was
adventure with the fish.
playing, but it was like we didn't really we were like playing D&D, and there wasn't much momentum, and I was like, hey, there's a fish.
Yeah, Matt was like, hey, I saw a weird
I'm a
magical
fish.
fish, and it just jumped out of this river. And everyone's
a
like,
fish.
what? And the DM's like, what? And he's like, yeah, this magical fish just jumped out of the river. And we're like, let's go get that magical fish. And suddenly the whole session picked up in energy, and it was going great.
Right. That's a kick's ass.
And Matt,
That's cool.
Matt created a side quest because of it.
You made it. You made the group
It was-
mascot.
I mean,
Everyone,
we
every
played
group
so
needs a
often
mascot.
that day, or not so often at the time. It was like sometimes just burn out mid.
I mean, yeah.
Oh,
game,
yeah.
right?
Holy
it would
shit.
be
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
it'd be some things where it's like, all right, you DM, and now you're done. Now you can play, and we'll have someone else switch it and DM for the other half.
Yo.
And yeah, it would just be like, okay, what's next?
What's next?
You know,
And
sometimes
you're
that's,
just flipping through the monster manual. And you go,
I really,
this.
I really didn't mind it though because it kind of lowered expectations in like a good way. Because I feel
Yeah.
like to some extent you expect the GM to have their shit together and all the players to always be on, but you can't always expect that. So when you're doing, I remember doing all the back-to-back sessions, and when someone's tired, someone's like, yeah. You know what? It's okay. No wonder why we're tired. There's a very valid reason to be tired because we don't stop playing this shit.
I think
Yeah.
I DM'd in most of those times.
Yeah, you did a lot.
Most of that time when the expectation was low, and we're like, let's just do.
You ran some really good adventures. I think there was some mostly pre-made
You
ones,
seem like
but-
a good one-shot man,
Probably.
especially with the zaniness that you could work into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
You
then
know,
fucking
you-
no. Then.
You know, you
I
should
don't-
use
I don't
you should
know.
use
You
auditory
try.
cues, Matt.
Auditory cues?
Yeah.
There's an audio medium.
They don't see your facial expression.
He's actually been like just signing to us.
Yeah,
Like,
the whole time.
he hasn't shut
Oh,
up.
I thought you
He's
said,
just been like
Oh, I thought you meant in-game DMing. I'm like, audio? Not
Oh,
loud
yeah.
enough in my games?
I've definitely started using music and stuff more, which has been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to go back really quick, change the subject a little bit. You talked about a decanter of, and was that your sound cue? Was that your audio cue?
Yeah.
Skirt. You were talking about decanter of endless water.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about Tomb of Annihilation? When I ran that.
Yeah. About what happened?
So, for some context, really quick, when I ran 5th edition's Tomb of Annihilation, it was dog shit. We abandoned it about halfway through. Hated the hex crawl rules. Not great. Everything about it. Out of the Abyss is still the best one. But we got lost in the jungle. And there's no. Well, I was running it. They got lost in the jungle. There was no food.
Yeah.
Except they had recently acquired a decanter of endless water. We were trying to figure out how the hell they were going to survive. Pouring through the books, pouring through characters. She's like, what the fuck are we going to do? Because there's no way. You're going to fucking die. Your foraging rolls suck. Like, this isn't going to work out. And we figured out that Chris Perkins, in his ultimate bald, solar-powered wisdom, decided to make it to where the decanter of endless water also makes mayonnaise. Yeah. So, for 1 month, force marching through jungle,
gee whiz.
They ate nothing but mayonnaise. And that was the last session we did. But we were fucking pissing ourselves. We were going on and on describing how horrid, like there's crust around the edge of the decanter.
Yeah.
They're like storing. Everyone has horrific acne and like greasy skin.
I was gonna say,
everyone's like
scurvy,
constantly.
right?
Oh, everyone's just shitting themselves. Yeah, like fucking. It's you're in the hot jungle, so like it's fucking like the mayonnaise is rancid. Like you have to like it's just. I think they had to like store some. Like, I think they had to ration it out because they couldn't make enough out of the decanter every day.
Oh, really?
So, like, they had to split it up, but that meant they had to, like, I don't remember. All I remember is that we were talking about crates of, like, 2-day-old mayonnaise. It's just been baking
you're talking
in the
about the
jungle
alchemy
sun.
jug.
No. It's the,
Alchemy jug.
I don't think it's called alchemy jug.
Alchemy jug is the one that can be made.
Decantless water is
No, let me get the DMG.
Because that's the amount that can only create so much.
No, you're wrong. Let me get the
endless
DMG.
is endless because it's endless.
Let me
Jimmy.
prove you wrong about your own dumb system. Let me just 1 second.
You can't reach for that. I mean,
Why?
You can actually because it's the first edition copy and pages are falling out. But the DM's guide.
Oh, I'll be gentle. Oh, I know.
No
I know.
one ever touches the DM's guide. It's the most pointless book in the game.
Well,
It's fuck. I think I have strong opinions on 5th edition, but I think the D&D 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide is one of the best RPG books ever produced.
Yeah,
it's good, man. It's really, really good. You don't even need to run 5th edition, man. 5th did start very strong. I mean, yeah.
It's alchemy jug. I know.
Yep.
You can't do mayonnaise and decanter. They had alchemy jug.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Which alchemy role playing the alchemy jug as that?
It's always mayonnaise.
That's hilarious.
Gallons of mayonnaise.
Yeah,
that's how you do it.
Well, you know what? If I don't turn to the page of the alchemy jug, and I won't be wrong because I didn't see it.
Yeah, because that definitely wasn't the page right there.
No, that wasn't the page. That wasn't the page.
Oh, that wasn't the page?
I'm wondering if I actually gave them like a freebie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I think I was like, sitting there being like, they're gonna fucking die in this jungle, and then I'm like, well, these other things are technically liquids.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise, I guess, is a liquid.
I
So I'll let them
guess.
produce that. Not knowing that I thought I was saving them, not knowing I consigned them to a fate worse than death.
Yeah.
No. Hey, while we're talking about this, 6th edition wish list.
Oh.
What does everybody want? What do you want? What do you want for Christmas from Daddy Perkins?
I want only gnomes and no drow in the player's handbook.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
No fucking drow.
No, not only keep drow, because drow rock. Drow are hot. The whole thing they got going on rocks.
No.
Not only are we keeping them in the PhD, we're putting real orcs in the fucking PhD
Yeah,
too.
I mean, yeah.
Not,
Well, of
that's
course
also...
they would.
I mean, I think
Based on what they're saying.
Yeah,
they would-
based off the design and everything, I don't see any reason why with the first player's handbook they don't have human and every sort of iteration off of human as well.
I could see.
Oh,
I
like
could see
half-orcs
6.
fall under humans and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
instead
because
of- yeah.
why wouldn't they build the game to be more modular within itself?
I see
You're totally
6
right,
being
yeah.
way more like race.
Well, it's because it's so
you could
antiquated.
That's what they're saying. 6 would be like, no, here's all the name of the races.
like would be interesting
and
is
it
if
just
they.
minimizes what the each.
Well,
could
I don't know if they
Yeah.
would do that.
Well, 'cause here's-
hereditary system, because then you could pick.
Well, the ancestry system works from fucking Pathfinder really well.
Yeah,
it's structured about the same. It's just tweaked a bit. What sucks about like the terminology that's been in D&D since forever is it's like you can't like talk about it without it getting weird. You know what I mean? So I hope they kind of like. I hope they do make it a lot more modular because I've heard they're not going to make it to where there's any like racial modifiers anymore.
Right.
Or anything like that.
I mean, yeah. What's
But
the,
it just
what's the
changes
point
the
of
game.
stats in 5th edition if everyone's basically got the same stats?
yeah,
Then
right.
it becomes
yeah.
Mutants and Mastermind though.
What does that mean?
It literally just it's like a cloud of numbers to it, but there's not much like.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I hope they take the Q and go more diegetic with it. I hope they really go more like it doesn't like the numbers here. If you're using your like no stats, obviously this isn't gonna happen. But look, it's like let's picture this, right? No stats. If you're a spellcaster, you just add this number when you're rolling for spell attacks and stuff. But then tell us more about your backstory. Pick some descriptors about your backstory and stuff, and here are the things they do, like the backgrounds, the features they have in backgrounds.
Yeah.
Do more shit like that. You know, those are cool. Like, do a lot more shit like that. Vary them up. You know, make it to where it's you know.
But like you were saying for 3.5, if you take the game mechanics of being distinct in universe, then it feels like your character isn't much distinct and separate from it. So like 3.5, you guys were saying was special because you are no matter what, you are your own person by yourself. And then if you go the other route, then it's like you're just kind of everyone else.
Well, no. So it's a horseshoe. So on one end, you have something like Pathfinder, where it's so mechanically dense and the numbers are they mean so many things that you can make a completely unique character just through the character creation process alone. On the other end, if you literally go heavy into descriptors and stuff like that, like picture this, depending on your background, like obviously you'd have to flesh it out, but it's like you say, oh, my character is a drow who comes from here, who did this for a living and now does this as an adventurer. And then the game gives you different features that work like those background features, like, hey, here's a narrative sort of thing you can do.
I think they'll I think they'll do that, but not for the good reasons that you're saying. I think they're going to do it for setting locking the game. Think if you have it so that you only get certain bonuses from being from this location or this place or having those things, you could make those be heavily tied to things for Forgotten Realms or Eberron. And so the idea is if you would switch settings, suddenly you also switch a whole lot of the modifiers.
You need a whole... Right.
And that would be so easy to crank out. Oh, when we release a new setting, it also releases all these other feats, all these other different modifiers, all these background locations.
I don't know if they're going to do that because Pathfinder's doing that.
Really?
Pathfinder is very setting locked.
Yeah, it kind of is.
I mean, luckily Golarion is such a fucking kitchen sink setting that it doesn't really matter. What does being setting locked really mean in Pathfinder? Yeah, it's nuts. But
it's very nuts.
The reason why I think that makes total sense from a business perspective, the reason why I don't think they'll do that is because one, Pathfinder's already doing it, but two, they've said that a lot of the changes that they're making are because of streaming. D&D is making most of its money now off of like fucking streams. Like
then the only D&D 6th edition that will succeed is one where combat takes 15 minutes.
Right.
That's like the biggest hurdle. If they're really trying to address it for streaming, it's trying to make combat take up less time and be more impactful.
Which is fascinating to me because, like, no, you're totally right. Like, I remember when we started playing Baldur's Gate 3, when we did the release night, and we were playing the combat system, and I'm like, oh my god, is this what 5th edition combat's supposed to feel like? It's so fucking fast.
Yeah.
It rocks. Fast. They really need to drive that home.
Yeah.
You know what the big fucking thing is? This drives me crazy. D&D is the most popular role-playing game. It's the oldest role-playing game, all this stuff. There is nothing in those books that teach you how to run a fucking game.
Yeah.
It all pays lip service to stuff. There's not an article in there in the combat section to tell you, hey, here's what combat should look like and sound like. Here's the things you should be doing and paying attention to. There's all sorts of third-party stuff on that.
Yeah.
But there's no, like, official, like... It's insane because so many other games tell you how to play them better than D&D.
Yeah.
When D&D should be the one that does that. Well, that's what, you know what? I'm going to put that on the wish list. So your wish list is combat takes 15 minutes. My wish list is fucking teach people how to play D&D.
No.
That's all my wish list. Shit. You know? Don't just give them this book and then, because I mean the oral tradition of learning how to play games, like you learn it from someone who's teaching you, that's still alive and well, but you shouldn't be relying on that. Because what if you get that, but you're not tuned into the YouTube channels and the third-party shit?
It'd be different. It'd be interesting if they changed their model, because every single model since Wizards of the Coast has gotten D&D has been, we will make sales by introducing more new optional races, more new optional classes, more new optional things. It'd be interesting. I mean, with 4th edition and 3rd edition, we suddenly had to, whenever you switched to, like, when 5th edition was out, well, they only had these certain characters in the player's handbook.
Yeah.
So we could only play those sorts of things. But instead, if they build their system to be able to currently meet the demand of every one of the options that they've already built in 5th. And instead of trying to keep their model by continual adding supplemental stuff, it would be in maybe more adventure line stuff like Pathfinder does.
I
That
hope
might be
so.
something that they would take.
I sure hope so. I really like the idea because I've bitched and moaned about that forever, about how it is beyond me why Wizards doesn't do what Pathfinder does with adventures, have their own team, have their own product line, because their adventures kick ass and are comprehensive. But I totally agree. It's like they were saying that like 6th edition is going to make sure that people, because most people run their own shit, especially streamers run their own shit. Streamers don't usually run like because you have to. So I think I would like to see them adopt that to be like, we're going in this with the understanding that the players are going to be running completely custom shit, and we're going to accommodate that as good as we can, and shit that's probably going to be streamed.
Yeah,
let's assume that it's going to be like streamed or some shit, or
So
people are going to
then-
want to play it like a streamed game.
Yeah, if it's more streamed, then it's even more theater of the mind. Then, because then it was
Sure.
in combat too.
I'm down.
yeah, but
They've always tried to do that though.
Wizards of the Coast also developed a think tank back in like 2016 or 2015, specifically for the tech side of Dungeons and Dragons, which
Yeah.
I think has been responsible for Baldur's Gate finally getting movement, as well as Dark Alliance.
Yep.
Even though the game has currently failed, like there's a lot of mixed reviews.
Yeah.
I think it will improve, and they'll get it working to being something.
Baldur's Gate 3, I have no doubt about, because Divinity Original Sin 2 is like the best computer RPG of all time.
Yeah, it's just if it's going to be, will you be able to play Baldur's Gate 3 in its entirety before Elder Scrolls 6 comes out? Who knows?
Probably. I don't give a shit. I'm not buying
Probably.
I'm not buying Elder Scrolls
Yes.
6. The next thing I'm getting Elder Scrolls wise is going to be Skywind whenever they finally finish that.
Skywind.
It is a fan project. They're rebuilding Morrowind in Skyrim's engine from the ground up.
Yeah.
New voice actors, new composers, everything. I love Morrowind. Me and my sister are going to get Silt Strider tattoos.
But, yeah.
It's going to rock.
be cool.
Yeah.
I think that the new edition of D&D won't not have the tech side in mind.
Yeah, which is good. I think on as much as I am very much more of a like manual at the table gamer, that's where the zeitgeist seems to be going. So I want even if it's not, I'm not fucking playing D&D anyway. Like when I'm running, I'm not
Yeah, you're
running.
playing other games.
Yeah, I'm running all sorts of other shit. But it's like the least they could do is keep up with the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
They need to get with the times. D&D has not gotten with the times since like the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
What's on your wish list? For what do you want from 6th edition?
Actually, yeah, the adventure thing. Because I never really like got a subscription to Dragon or Dungeon magazines like Casey did.
Oh, I miss
But
those so much.
I always liked when I would be building games or getting ideas was like, yeah, literally just picking up a random adventure and going with it. And then like picking it apart, you're like, oh, I'm just going to take this interesting concept and then do something else with it.
Yeah.
Or you just like read over. It's like almost small little novels where you like read over and you're like, okay, that. I'm just going to take that first act of that adventure and then actually do something with it. And then everything else, I don't care.
They've done such a bad job with adventures this
I was just
cycle.
thinking recently, it was like, I was talking to Ben, it was just like, they just take so long to do it. There's so much hype that the next one is going to be the next Strahd for some reason.
Right.
And so it comes out, and then that's it. It comes out.
Yep. And then nothing happens. I was optimistic when Out of the Abyss came out because I ran. That's the only D&D adventure I've run, a campaign I've run in its entirety. I ran it front to back. And there was some bumps along the way. I learned a lot about how IGM and whatnot, and maybe it's a story for a different time. But I mean, that was awesome. I'm like, shit, if they keep doing stuff like this, that'd be tight. And then they never did.
Yep.
Never did. The setting books got me hopeful. That Ravenloft
Yeah, the
book is
setting books
good,
were
man.
good.
The Ravenloft
Eberron
book's
was
good.
amazing.
The
There's
Eberron's
nothing
good,
wrong
yeah.
with the Eberron book.
Nope. No. If they kept doing shit like that, because I have the Ravenloft and the Eberron books just in case, because it's like this shit rocks. Give us Dark Sun.
Yeah.
Dark Sun is sword and sorcery, and sword and sorcery is fucking
Dark.
problematic.
Yeah.
like it's got some shit in it.
Well,
Like,
it's supposed to be the worst of humanity.
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Is the concept of like who to trust, and you'll randomly find good people.
Well, and there's certain
That
stories that you're
sucks.
supposed to tell in that. There's a certain reason why there's so many horrible things happening from extremely barbaric,
Yeah.
like cruel
Conan
people.
is like
Yeah.
a cult. A lot of occults, because the world sucks so much, they have to find meanings in cults.
It's
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
heroes are
That's
supposed
the-
to be the ones that set apart and change
right.
those things.
Yeah, everyone
It's,
hate,
it's
like-
sort of the exact same reaction of people getting angry at like the fact that demons and devils were in D&D. Is okay.
Oh, like
now,
in second
you're playing,
edition?
You're
Yeah.
playing a game that has demons and devils. Well, that's because people are not getting the context that the demons and devils are in the game for the players to go and slay and defeat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doom Guy is the best Catholic.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if there is games where
I like
players
that.
are playing a devil character or a demon, they're not simply doing that typically to just, I mean, some certain players that we've mentioned before during this exact podcast might do so to fulfill some own like self-interest or desire. But
Right.
anytime I've played a character that's truly evil, it's been from a perspective of trying to change that.
Right.
Following, okay, what does the story mean if you're evil? If you're evil, then you're already at the bottom. The only way you can go is up.
That's
for
a
any
nice
sort
way of looking at it.
interesting
Yeah.
character development.
I know people. There was a guy back in high school who I used to play with a little bit, and that dude was like, is probably a serial killer now, because like literally,
jeez.
like he would run evil campaigns, run evil characters all the time, and like literally, he would run gestalted like 3.5 games, and he's like extrapolated the levels and stuff out to like level 60. Like he's done the
Wow.
math to get all the stuff, and then he and his friends, they would go around and just do horrid shit.
Oh my
That's it.
God.
That's all they
That's the
did.
game. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, like,
that's
the
the
first
game.
time
Yeah.
adventurer who starts pulling out torture tools. Yeah.
Yep. If I'm sitting down at a table and someone's pulling out torture tools, there better be a good fucking reason. Either one, we're playing Delta Green, or two, this has been coming for like a long, long time. You know what I mean? This has been like a growth, a point. We have been growing to this. Like Dench murdering all those kids.
Yeah.
That would have flown if we had just done that session 1 or 2. That took an entire campaign to build up to something heinous like that.
Yeah.
Let alone being like session 1.
But the thing
I'm
is,
taking all this guy's
the thing is,
teeth.
if there are heinous things and horrible things in a setting or in the story, you can get impactful play from session 1.
It's a lack of, you know what it is? It's literally like a fucking corporate thing, because it is a lack of trusting players.
Yeah.
It's a lack of trusting their players to engage with these mature themes in a mature way. And you know what? They're probably doing this not because of some of the backlash they're getting, which, I mean, considering like D&D's been around since the 70s and hasn't really changed much. Yeah, there's some shit they could stand to change. I don't think that's the big reason. I think the reason why is because streaming's such a big thing. They don't ever want somebody to stream a game like I just described, and then all of
Well,
a sudden that reflects on them.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Well,
You
that
know?
makes a
Well,
lot
I think
of sense.
Yeah.
like YouTube
Yeah.
and stuff, you can't say certain words
Yep.
or you'll get demonetized.
But on Twitch you can. And who gives a shit about being demonetized?
They have a lot of that too, though.
There are plenty of
You can't say a
YouTube.
lot of stuff.
There are plenty of YouTube channels that are demonetized that make a lot of money because they have sponsors.
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
that too.
But I agree. It's like everyone who I've played with, who I've stuck around playing with, has engaged with awful themes in games in a really thoughtful way.
Yeah.
You know, and I shudder to think of what I know what some people do with these games, but it's like that it just sucks that, you know, because the people who make money off of this have that infinitesimal chance of shit coming back and hitting their face, they're just going to take it all away.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Like, what the hell? You know, it sucks.
What's the story going to be about if none of it's problematic?
I mean, I always thought
There you go. Perfect. Yeah.
I thought Fifth Adventures, some of them were really interesting and a lot of problematic stuff happened.
yeah.
Yeah, there was some. Yeah.
I was always like,
surprised by
whoa.
some of the twists. And
Like
stuff that they
Strahd,
had.
the way it was, I was like, no, this is dark. This is great.
Did I tell you about that? The Pathfinder Circus one, Extinction Curse.
Yeah, you said there was some.
There was a twist in that I actually, I was surprised they didn't put a content warning on it. Like I'm like, yo, like literally, like there was like, because the whole point, it's like an evil circus, and she's an abusive like ringleader, and she keeps all her people there.
Yeah.
She like surgically, there's this guy who was an acrobat and he was themed off of bats and he was trying to escape. So she like fucking brainwashed him and then surgically changed him to like a human bat. It's like some fucking hostile shit.
Yeah.
It's I read that. I was literally, I hadn't read it beforehand and I was like, okay, you're in here and you see, whoa. Like I was in and I'm like,
That's what did surprise me
that
about-
like fuck like I
like,
was saying because
fourth
that
was
fucked
that.
me up and I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, like you can't
Yeah.
just drop this on me, man.
No, that's how I think fourth had, or like all the adventures of the fourth, like I said, because there's so many of them. Sometimes they even that's why you had to get the interesting parts. But fifth started so well because there was like Strahd, or there's the other adventures like Jesus. I can't believe we're doing this.
Yeah.
It's great. I like
but
that.
Out of
that
the
makes-
abyss, you go finally to the mushroom place, and you're like, "Oh, we could do something." And the entire story is going, "No, this is the first instance of saying there's nothing you can do to save anything, and you need to leave."
Yeah.
And that was like, "Whoa,
Whoa.
And I
yeah.
had a character that I was playing that was a Myconid at that point. I knew that's what the story was telling me, and I said, "There's no way I can let this character leave. He's got to stay here and do what he can."
despite
I
everything.
wrote a new character because I'm like,
Yeah.
There's no way. Yeah.
give him up to the whims of the DM.
How are we supposed to have conversations about these things if we can't engage with them?
Yeah.
Especially in something like a game.
A fiction.
I mean,
you know?
I think
Like-
that's what's so tragic for me when I said no Drow as player characters. It's not because I hate Drow as player characters. Drow is an amazing,
I fucking
complex,
love Drow.
like culture and everything in D&D.
Yeah.
and it's complex because it is so dangerous.
It's
and
presence.
it's also hot because
I mean, I
It's the presence of the Drow that makes things interesting.
just
Yeah,
personally,
yeah.
if I didn't get to be able to have the long form experience of playing a Drow character trying to escape from his society and the types of things that they do, and not only but also having the outward pressure of people that I'm trying to conform and acclimate to, hating me because of how I look and the assumptions that they place on me, I would not be the type of role player I am today if I did not have that sort of story that I was able to follow a character through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
So having the ability to experience that as if I were there.
Yeah.
As if it were directed towards me. I feel that's definitely made me a better person.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how else am I supposed to walk in shoes like that?
Yeah.
Like I could, you can read things, you can listen to things, but to literally like experience something similar, like walk in those shoes is like, I don't know how else I was supposed to do that. Like, where else do I get that from?
Well, it always
it's
sucked
like-
because Casey would like to play that character, and I don't know if I was the only one in the room that understood the meaning of his character.
Yeah.
I think Ben obviously did too, but it was
Yeah, Ben
always just like
understood. He
he's like
absolutely
it
would.
was always like, oh no, I'm a Drow too. I'm like everybody else, and then I would play the characters that would be like understood the lore,
Yeah.
and I was like, no, the whole point is that we should kill you on sight.
Right, that's like the whole point is we should kill you on sight.
And I don't want to play a character that's a dick, but just for you to know, we were supposed to kill you on sight, and then this time we didn't.
And I get it when people don't want to play that.
Yeah,
I get it when people don't want to engage with those
absolutely.
themes. But you can just not.
But
That's why they're not supposed to be
don't do it,
players.
you know,
they're not
like-
supposed to be able to play Drow because they're
Yeah.
in lore, like the lore we were showing you. They're like so profoundly
Oh, it's
evil,
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
just so
I love 'em.
profoundly you cannot trust them.
That's part of the reason why I wanted to run that Menzo Barans and Delta Green game. Which
Yeah.
I still got stewing around in my head. The Drow Delta Green game is
Oh
really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I forgot
A
about
big
Delta
part of it is because it takes place so long after Drow society is the way it is in the D&D lore, but like they've progressed, but there's still problems, and it's like to be like, how far reaching are the tendrils of that like history, the
Yeah.
things that they've done and the things that they are, like how would they, what things would maybe get resolved, what things wouldn't, how would that affect like society,
Well, especially
in
if it's
general.
a really long time, because Loth
Yeah.
would like to. Loth would peace out for hundreds of years.
She
So
does for I
it'd be
think
like-
like 600 years. I said.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were doing that game where like they haven't heard of Loth.
So what happens? The way it works is in the last fourth edition like campaign series, like there's all the Drow like raid the surface because Lolth like takes over the Weave, which is this arcane thing that some other D&D deity does. And Lolth corrupts it, and then the players are able to put it back. So I'm thinking that Lolth has actually been hiding in there and like setting up her plan, and then all of a sudden one day she's able to flip the Weave back to hers, like almost 1,000 years later. In that time, no one's heard from Lolth. The Church of Lolth is like gone. Like so, and
Interesting.
so everyone's been changing. But here's the thing: instead of it being so, Delta Green, is about, for context, Delta Green is about government agents who know about the Cthulian horrors and Lovecraft mythos and are trying to stop it by any means necessary.
Yeah.
So Delta Green, if you're going to run that, there has to be an equivalent group, and that group is the Church of Lolth. So there's still like an underground Church of Lolth and stuff that like there's still some believers, but instead of it being like, oh, we're just this crazy Lolth cult, it's literally like we're the only ones for some reason who think Lolth was ever a thing anymore, and we are paying attention for when she comes back.
Oh, interesting.
And it's
That'd
like,
be cool.
hey, she's back, baby. Get your guns, because she's going to be summoning some crazy shit and speaking to some people's minds, because she's mad.
Yeah, because they
You
wouldn't
know?
be. Because I mean, the cult of like Loth was like to satiate her.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
no one, like the whole thing of like, oh, you're in the Underdark. There's spiders everywhere. They must like spiders. And you're like,
No.
no.
Wow, look at all these Driders. They must enjoy that so
yeah,
much.
the whole thing
Yeah.
of like, no, like
Yeah.
the whole thing about being a drow and then be like looking at spiders and hating it, but you can't hit them
Yeah.
or do anything because that's
Which-
the embodiment
that's,
of law.
That's what makes me think. So if Lolth verifiably disappeared, then the Church of Lolth, whose purpose is to satiate Lolth, would be like, hey, let's make sure she never comes back. And if she does, have contingencies for when she does.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Church of Lolth in this setting loses a lot of power to the point where they're like, yeah, we're the only people who know that it's Lolth coming back.
'Cause, I
and
mean-
we need to do whatever necessary, which might involve killing a lot of people.
Because she'd be gone for so long. I wonder if it'd be like the spiders leave too.
Yeah.
And then a spider shows up. And then like, oh shit. All the spiders are spies of law.
People just start turning into Driders.
And they're like, fuck.
Driders make a comeback.
Well, just subtly.
yeah.
Subtly. I guess spiders are already there. But like above surface plague where they start seeing more spiders. And then the spiders represented Loth's eye. So if you have more and more spiders show up, just subtly. It's not even like a lot. It's just more and more
Oh.
of the omen of Loth's eye.
and
coming back.
all those spiders are like, yeah, those are like cameras. Like she's fucking
That's what they
watching a
used to be.
surveillance.
That's why you
state
couldn't
style,
kill
yeah.
spiders.
Yeah.
In that you could kill driders,
Yeah.
but spiders you weren't supposed to kill in Loth.
It's not happy
That was-
being
that
a
was
drow.
her.
It really isn't. It's a bad time.
No, it was just to get above someone else. That was
They're
it.
that is also what gets me about the drow is they have subjected themselves to like it's completely warped them the things that they did, and they did it all to like get revenge basically. They did it all out of spite.
Well, they just
you
want to
know?
have some power in the world because Loth literally pulls anything out of them.
Yeah, but holy shit, scary
'Cause
times.
no matter how far they get in Drow Society, Loth is just like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Step.
And then
Yeah, get
'Cause,
outta
yeah,
here.
like again,
Yeah.
Casey's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna play a character that's just like
Well, because I was
really understands Loth," and then everyone else is like, "I want to be a Drow in a game," and you're like,
yeah, I'm like, oh,
"But you're
no.
just not gonna understand."
Mhm.
Like you can, it's fun, I guess, but then
Yeah.
as a
It's
character,
like
I should
everyone,
just kill you.
everyone just
Yeah.
wants to play Drizzt without actually having their character go through
Without
being
having the
Drizzt.
struggle, yeah.
Yeah.
They just want the end result, and it's like, dude, like the whole reason why Drizzt is the way he is because he overcame some heinous shit.
Yeah.
that
And he's
was
supposed
that
to be
he's
the
known
only
since
one.
People in the
birth.
Forgotten
Yeah.
Realms, when they see a drow out in the open, they go, "Oh my god, is that a drow?" First, is it Drizzt? It's not Drizzt. Okay.
Where are the rest of them?
There, he has a different category because people are aware of
He's the only
Drizzt as a walking legend.
But then
Yeah.
everyone
Oh, yeah.
wanted to make good Drow, and you're like,
Drizzt
was
that drives me
only supposed
crazy.
to be the
Well,
one.
the thing
yeah.
is, the way to make good drow used to be with Eilistray, and then they got rid of that
Yeah.
in 4th edition.
They did.
They killed Eilistray.
I look. How would you make a character? You were robbing yourself of just so much cool shit if you just jumped to the end point of this character.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why in Burning Wheel, the 4 life paths, including your Born path, you're like some 20-something farmers and shit like that. And shit takes place over years. You know why? Because you were experiencing these things that turn you into who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like to not engage with that. Like, can you imagine if Dench was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a Dark Lord like the whole time?
Yeah.
Completely robbed of incredible moments that I didn't even realize were happening for the reasons they were until looking back at it and being like, yeah, you can trace that trail. You know, it's a shame. It's a shame that there are people who will just never experience such a moving, compelling, sometimes life-changing narrative like the ones that you can tell in RPGs.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, where it's all going now, Spelljammer is the best next setting for
for D&D to do. 'Cause-
Holy
'cause
shit, that would rock.
Spelljammer is the way it's bent. If you really take it, it's supposed to be just upturning every one of the archetypes of how D&D works in the
Spelljammer
Plannerverse
would.
and everything. Just going, nah, mind flares. They're serving you drinks.
Totally.
They're awesome to hang out with.
Yeah, yeah,
These
yeah.
gnomes actually terrifying. You should stay away from them.
True.
Hey,
Orcs, pretty cool space
It
dudes. They
equalizes
got an
way
army.
more.
Spelljammer, that sounds like they're with the way they're going. That sounds like the natural next move. If they want a game that celebrates diversity, do fucking Spelljammer,
Yeah,
dude. That'd be tight as
Spelljammer
fuck.
does
I
very
think-
well.
It
That
feels
makes
so
too much
good.
sense. They're not going to do it.
That, no, they're
Yeah,
right.
it
You're right.
makes
sense.
No, I
They're
let
gonna
me
restart like
preface
they did
this by
before.
I'm putting no fucking faith in Wizards. Like they're owned by fucking Hasbro. Like Jesus.
I mean, that's why like Ben did Spelljammer because when you get so high level in a game, Spelljammer makes sense because you just have like godly characters just hanging out.
Are we talking about Planescape or Spelljammer?
Spelljammer.
Spelljammer. Okay. yeah.
Planescape. See, the thing is, Planescape still keeps the integrity of the lore all the way through, in terms of because that's how and Planescape is built on you having an alignment, that being tied to planes. There's cosmology allowed with all of this and everything.
Yep.
Spelljammer comes along and says Planescape also exists, but then
Harmless.
Spelljammer exists and breaks all the rules of Planescape. So which one's real?
Planescape is just
Nice.
one out of Spelljammer.
Yeah.
But Spelljammer can exist.
Spelljammer kind of superimposes itself as all the rules that you think are rules haven't ever been rules, and Spelljammer is how it actually works.
It
and
sounds-
it's people
hey.
flying around in ships and not.
It's
know-
more gray, like you said.
A Spelljammer.
great.
I would love to play a Spelljammer game. That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
it's like
That'd be
you
tight.
do something for a mind flayer because it's like in this certain part of a planet.
Yeah.
You're just floating around in space.
That's cool as
Just
hell.
D&D themed space.
Because it's
like
it's
it.
not even space. It's the phlogiston. So space is like also like this liquid plasma gas. So you
Whoa.
have open ships with naturally they all just sort of have a bubble.
They have
And
oxygen
if you
bubbles.
they have oxygen bubbles. And if you go outside that bubble, that's when you're going into zero grav or getting eaten up by the flames of the phlogiston.
That's fucking sick.
So
as
space,
hell.
it's just space D&D. Yeah.
Space D&D.
But
Let's
yeah,
go.
because
Yeah.
of that, because of the nature of like so many creatures are all like separated and aren't forced to stay on Earth, they're just way more chill.
Damn.
And
Man.
they're more violent because they can have giant armadas.
Yeah.
They don't have to be stuck in the dungeon.
Damn.
That's why you have mind flare ships.
Second edition was cool, man.
Yeah.
Those were
A lot of
Spelljammer
interesting- A lot of
games.
cool stuff.
That rocks.
Spelljammer would make sense, I think, if they did that, but I don't think they're
Please.
gonna do it.
Please.
I think they're gonna do. It's like they're gonna go. No, we're redoing. They're gonna be. Oh, look how nostalgic this is. We're gonna go back to whatever roots we're gonna make relevant.
All right, guys, who's ready for the Greyhawk source book?
Oh. But I think we were saying before about the Dark Sun, and with it, the way they're going now, it doesn't make sense to do Dark Sun. Is what someone brought up.
Yeah.
What we were reading, because Dark Sun is hard Conan. They are slavers.
Oh, yeah.
You are weak.
Yeah.
You have to destroy things around you just to do magic.
I remember
No, yeah.
the Adventures
It's dark
League
shit.
4th
I
edition
love it.
Dark Sun games were actually like playing a different D&D.
Fourth edition Dark Sun rocks.
4th edition Dark Sun was
Dark
awesome.
Sun makes
Yeah.
it feel like more DCC without having to do anything new.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just by the weakness of how you do things. You're like, no, you actually hurting the world. And
But
it's easier.
just the
It makes it
adventures
easier.
too, and you played normal Adventures League stuff. It was like, you get the mission, and you have the rumor. Dark Sun is like, you're captured and you're in a gladiator fight. If you can beat
Yeah.
these waves, then the waves are done. There's nothing else written for the adventure, but you're expected to try to kill the one who enslaved you.
That rocks.
And it's like,
that's
go!
that's fucking cool.
Well,
Yeah,
and there's
done.
the sorcerers.
Buy-in, bought.
And there's no gods but sorcerers. Yeah, the
Yeah.
sorcerer kings.
Yeah.
It just made it. Yeah, it's just something that probably, I don't know, they could do in sixth. But yeah, people think that the way they're going now, there's no reason for them to even want to pick it up.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, well, if certain races or certain things just don't have evil
And
properties,
you'd hope that Critical Role would. You'd hope that Wizards of the Coast would put out their own setting after a while and really try and define a new space for themselves.
Why the fuck
But
would they
instead,
do Critical Role?
Critical
Yeah.
Role, exactly. That's what they've done.
I fucking
They chose someone else's setting and have carved that space out for themselves.
That drives me fucking
well, maybe they could do
insane.
Dark Sun.
God, that drives me insane.
Oh, because their own
You know,
campaign.
I don't know how I don't know if we have any. I think a lot of the footage that I had of episodes where I talk shit about Critical Role is gone, and I won't. I don't think.
Really?
I don't.
I'm surprised me.
I don't think I can accurately reproduce the amount of bile that I spoke with Critical Role about. But the fact that it got adopted as basically an official setting, yeah.
Oh,
I'm glad.
really? Oh, that's what
I'm
you're
glad
talking
Penny
about.
Arcade's one did though.
Yeah.
I love Acquisitions
Acquisitions
Incorporated.
is awesome.
It's fucking hilarious. I love Ack Inc. I was listening. I remember because when I was getting into D&D, I started listening to Ack Inc. with the first episode. I remember when it released. So I'm like, I've followed Acquisitions Incorporated the whole time.
I mean,
It's awesome.
one of the biggest issues with Critical Role setting is nobody cares about it unless you've actually watched the show.
Yeah.
So that's why they've realized that now, and the next like big adventure they're releasing is a Critical Role campaign that specifically walks you from like early levels all the way to Paragon tier.
To teach you the setting.
Basically, probably to teach you the setting.
Oh my god.
Well, it's its own adventure. Yeah.
Well, cool. I guess we got another waste of a book release slot. So what's the next one?
well, it could be more interesting. It's just
It is impossible for Critical Role to be interesting.
I literally
Magic components are kind of cool, but yeah, I don't see the unique.
I
see
just
the
don't
flair
know
for a
enough
lot of
about
stuff.
Critical Role. What would be interesting? I just
Yeah.
more apathetic. I don't hate them. I hate just the idea of like over
Yeah, I have no hate.
commodification. I
Well,
guess.
I guess my main
Except for how it's just changed D&D.
that's what I was
the
gonna
thing.
say is everything that we're describing about the switch to streaming and Wizards trying to protect themselves from having egg on their face. I think to some degree, Critical Role has something to fucking play in that. You know what I mean? Like it's and I don't think they did that intentionally. Obviously, my gripes with Critical Role are completely personally driven. But what I'm saying is now it's Wizards going like, oh good, phew, they're making their own setting and teaching people how to play the game. So now we don't.
Well, it's funny
movement,
because I
so-
think College Humor, the College Humor one they do, I don't know, I've never seen theirs either.
Yeah.
But the guy who does that said, yeah, you could watch Critical Role and not know how to play, but I guess he boasts that you could watch his game and you could know how to play. Like he's like part of the now one of the bigger streamer of D&D.
Oh really?
But they were just like you're saying, they're pretty much they are actors and comedians that did it, but they were doing D&D before it got enough where they could stream it. But one of them argued that's like, yeah, you can't watch Critical Role and know how to play. But he was like, no, you can watch mine. You probably know how to play.
Yeah.
I guess just like the idea of overpower fantasy is what gets to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when you have this idea of overpower fantasy, there's no like you kind of lose community in the game.
Yeah.
Like, in each scenario of the game, if there's no sense to work together because your character can do everything, then there's just a loss of like that's why I think combat fails because you're literally waiting for the next person.
Right.
But then like what we started developing over playing for a long time is okay, like what you started actually. I thought you were one of the first ones, but when you roll and the enemy goes first and then the people go second.
Oh, side initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
It's way different incentives. Just
Yep.
a small little thing is immediately goes, I'm on your same turn as you. I can now do something without the usual, I'm getting something ready. You do your turn, something completely different happens.
Yeah.
But if you can actually coordinate, there's a whole different incentive in the game.
And initiatives always kind of end up being side initiative anyway because you group like monsters.
But then
and
people
monsters
never
have
thought
same-
about it as that.
Right.
Which
they
it
never
slowed
did.
down.
But it's funny because that was something that happened when D&D first came out.
Yeah.
That's been around since the beginning. But no, like you're right. Like the smallest changes can change everything. What do you want to see in 6th edition that would like help you? What do you find yourself running into when you are running?
Sound
I mean,
issues.
sound issues.
Besides that,
Sound
yeah.
issues.
People can get it.
Your guys'
Combat
sound
takes
has been
too long.
incredible.
That's just it. Combat takes too long.
yeah.
If combat didn't take so long, it's necessary. It's necessary narratively. It's important to have combat.
Yeah.
It serves a very important function in a story. But the problem
Yeah.
is that it takes up way too much of the story for
Because I
how
hate
much
like,
of the
the
story
whole-
it actually takes place.
The whole idea of the spotlight. That's why I don't like it.
Yep.
Because the spotlight's on one person, everyone clicks out, whether or not they're actually engaged. There's just a notion of I'm going to not engage with their turn.
You know
It's
what?
like I wish you could engage with their turn, but the game incentivizes you to go shut up, you wait till your turn.
Maybe to be charitable to Wizards, which you'll never hear me say that again. And maybe I think this summarizes like all of our feelings on this. Engagement.
Yeah.
Everything they need to focus on in 6th edition is about engagement. And that one's free. That one's for free, Chris Burgers. You could take that one. Because literally, if they want to aim for streaming, and if they want to aim for accessibility,
Make it
and
interesting for everyone to be
it
there.
needs to be more engaging. I've always been engaged. You're the stream I've been engaged by it every time. I do, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I haven't had problems with the pace that your combat takes. But then again, I'm used to combat that takes like 2 hours. So if your combat takes like even half that, I'm like, wow, this sure is a zippy fucking combat.
It's
you know?
taking half that too.
But
Because
I'm
I'm designing
still-
it so it doesn't take any.
Yeah,
Which
I'm
is
still
good.
telling him.
It'd be nice
that-
if you didn't have to design it that
I'm
way.
still telling him that compared to like what you see online, the idea of coming home after a long day of work and fall asleep from your favorite stream makes no sense to me. Like
Yeah.
how sleepy these streams are. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm guessing
That's
Critical
what this
Role,
is for. That's what the
Critical Role
podcast is for. Fall asleep too.
Critical Role, I think, is the most interesting. I don't see, again. I don't watch it enough, but I
Yeah.
know it's
They
a lot
have-
of interesting people.
yeah.
It's super engaging.
But
But
in terms of the play, I'd say for just someone that doesn't watch a whole lot, any episode that I click in, it's a whole lot of waiting. They do some really long role play scenes,
Yeah.
and typically with only maybe one or two of the players at a time, and you got 8 players around a table.
I've seen that. I don't get
It's
it.
bad.
They're able to pull
It's
that
bad.
off because they have enough following. They've got establishment. These characters are important in
that.
each of their main roles. That works. That's not going to work for any other stream.
The only streams that I've liked are Acquisitions Incorporated and yours. Acquisitions Incorporated because Jerry Holkes just ignores the fucking rules.
Yeah.
You roll a die every once in a while for the show. The rest is storytelling. I'm like, that's pretty
And,
tight.
and regardless of what episode you pick of Acquisitions Incorporated, you get the gist of it pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, you can just
Because
jump in,
It's
yeah.
just regular D&D, and then suddenly they're talking about business mechanics and like
Mm-hmm.
getting insurance and stuff, and you're like, oh, that's the tone of the game. Ha!
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And it's
Go
easy
on.
to explain. What if venturing was corporatized?
Yeah.
Was franchised? There you go.
Right.
I like yours because I like your GMing. So, of course, more of it, I'm like, cool, let's go. I used to like the vampire one that they were doing, LA by Night. I liked the first couple seasons, but then they started doing exactly what you're describing, where all of a sudden there will be entire like session series with alternate characters. There will be a session where there's just one character, and it's like, yo, where's the crew? Where's the coterie? Where's the people
I was
that I've been
showing
coming
him
every
one,
week
a vampire
for? Like,
game, and I'm like,
Yeah, they did like
Oh.
Zoom breakout rooms and stuff, which is very smart for doing online play. For doing streaming, I don't think so.
and
No.
I think
and-
it's important having everyone else's reactions, their facial reactions to separate scenes happening.
I agree. You know what would be cool though, if you're talking about breakout rooms, if you're like doing a LARP
Yeah.
and there's like cameras in each room and you get to choose which rooms you're looking at any given time.
Ooh.
Be kind of tight. You go into a room and you're like, I don't seem to be doing anything. You're just hanging out. And then you go somewhere else and something obviously has just happened.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wait, what? You know what I mean? Like that could be kind of fun.
Oh,
It's like a one-off
like
sort of
streaming a large LARP. That would be really cool.
thing. Yeah. Of course, you'd have to, I think you'd have to script all out ahead
I think
of time.
you'd have
but
multiple
Yeah.
rewatches because people would be like, "Oh, did you see this whole thread happen?" And people are like, "Oh yeah, you guys need to go to the
So-
timestamp.
Yeah.
This storyline's happening too."
I like that.
Gakunusuke, but LARP.
Yeah, kind of.
Which one?
Gakunusuke.
Gakunusuke.
It's the one
Yeah,
where
yeah,
it's-
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
4 Japanese comedians,
Yeah.
and it's just 24 hours of them getting bonked.
It kicks ass.
But it's all like
Yeah.
a lot of it's like surprises and everything's scripted. But it's supposed to be that their reactions are all like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
that'd be-
that.
That'd be interesting. Well, we've given enough free ideas today. I think.
Oh, I know. Oh my God! Like we're solving the world's problems. It's hard being such brain geniuses.
I think though that the idea, like you said before, is if I don't like individual play, I like community play. And if they make the streaming, like if combat is way more like a group challenge,
Yeah.
then less is I'm going to hit it for 4 damage and I'm going to hit it for 4 damage.
Mhm.
But like I'm going to jump over, stab it in the head, and I'm going to jump under and stab it in the belly. That's both 4 damage. There's like way more of a difference of play.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's what just the initiative is what takes forever.
It's also hard. The problem with descriptors in combat too is it's really easy to like run out of them. Have you ever
Yeah.
been the thing where it's
Oh,
like, how
yeah.
many times do I describe how to
Slash.
swing a
Slash.
motherfucker's sword? You know?
I was having problems with that with just potions. I'm like, I've already described it, spraying out and cracking glass. Like, how do I do more?
That is the nice thing about not having to do it on camera is you can if you wanted to. We're playing around the table, reach a point, you're like, all right, we've done the first 3 rounds, all school stuff. Roll dice, go, let's see what this goes. Okay, yeah, it's pretty much over.
Yeah.
You can just hand away whatever you want. But if you're on camera, you're like, he thrusts the sword this
thrusts.
time, you know?
Well, you
Yeah.
can have
It's like,
it
fuck.
fall and then the glass kills another one.
yeah.
I always like to have the enemies affect each other.
I like that too. Word of the day, man. I'm gonna focus on that a lot more too with the games I'm running coming up. But fucking engagement.
Yep.
That's what's up.
Engagement.
That's the key.
so
Engagement.
engage.
Well, that's what I was saying when I was looking at the other streams. Is like although they're friends playing together, they stream it. I guess because why not? But it's just the energy. Like I said, I'm falling asleep.
Yeah, me too. No, you could fall asleep to other things like this podcast, except when we scream like all of a sudden. Yeah. I fall asleep to podcasts all the time. I mean, that's why I like podcasts. They're just conversations, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And then sometimes conversations need to end.
Yeah, when do they end?